Welcome to the Keriba Building and Construction Program. Let me start by acknowledging the traditional owners upon the land upon which we are virtually meeting today. I'm on Gimoy Wallabara Yidinji country in Cairns. We pay our respects to them, their elders, past, present and emerging, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families and communities. The Keriba Building and Construction Program provides support to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses within the building and construction industry in far North Queensland and North Queensland. Over the course of the program, we will be hosting yarning circles with brothers and sisters who support the Keriba Building and Construction Program community of practice. These enablers come from government, industry, and our fellow Indigenous businesses who are sharing their time and knowledge to the program. So let me first by welcoming Stephen Ung. Stephen is the Director for Major Economic Projects for the Department of, sorry Stephen, you've changed your department name has changed so much. Stephen is with the Department of Seniors, Disability Services, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander partnerships. But before we go into your role, Stephen, we'd really like you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your cultural connections.
Yeah, thanks, Julianne, and it's great to be here. I'm also on Gimoy Wallabara Yidinji country, sharing knowledge with yourselves and our future business leaders, just like our elders of this land would have done, and their elders before them. So it's a real privilege, you know, as a Torres Strait Islander, Budgerigar person. You know, even though I was raised here and educated in Cairns and Townsville, to be able to give back to our community and work alongside with our brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles around the community for a you know, a bit of a long-term sustainable you know, growth for our community and our children, you know, our pickaninny. So yeah, been around Cairns, did all my schooling around here, did a degree in engineering at James Cook in Townsville with plenty of our other mob there, young, strong people. Did a postgrad with a master's in business as well, and then started my career as a consulting engineer before working in local government and main roads, and now the Department of Seniors, Disability Services, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander partnerships.
Yeah.
So for the majority of my technical part of my career, it was in that pre-construction systems engineering space. So I have a bit of a lived experience around the challenges faced by contract administrators, and you know, an awareness of how, you know, our intentions don't always go to plan, and compromises are made, you know, in that procurement space and someone's job.
Yeah, thank you for that, and welcome again to the program. It's really good to have you on, but also to have you on because of your department, you know, knowledge and what the department is doing, but also with your prior knowledge and your skills and experience, that we can impart this knowledge to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses and building and construction. So, you know, just to get us started, tell us a little bit about your role. You're the Director of Major Economic Projects, big title, big role.
Yeah,
Tell
and
us a little bit about that, a new role, yes.
Yeah, so we haven't had this in the department, and we've only established it since about October last year, so about 6 months. And really the role is about bringing visibility of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses to those proponents and those contract administrators, right? So my focus is on engaging with your audience, engaging with the members, those Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses who enable and support them to build their capability as well, and appreciating those points of views, your perspectives about the challenges, you know, that you face in business. Then really the value is where finding those systemic issues, finding those patterns of challenges that we have, and giving visibility to that to the proponents, their representatives on those major projects, you know, when they're going through that planning and design phase of their projects, and shaping how they can put packages together or consider what's in the supply chain available and make some informed decisions about packages and tendering, and what expectations they'll put onto those tier 1 and tier 2 head contractors and project managers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So your role will be working directly with those tier 1 and tier 2 contractors, as well as the Indigenous businesses?
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
The engagement more directly with our Indigenous businesses, I'm backed by those regional directors that we have throughout far North Queensland and North Queensland and Central Queensland, and they will continue to provide that interlink through their offices to other programs that can support them, like your own program as well. So that'll probably be the day-to-day engagement with the businesses. I'll always be out there and wanting to meet, deadly mob that are out there doing some great stuff, so that I have the confidence to be able to talk with those proponents, with those contract managers, and say, hey, look, I met these guys the other day. They do this, they do that. They're really kicking goals in these areas. They've had some recent contracts in this particular space, which I think will really fit, and there's a synergy there that's worth exploring. The guys will see me, the businesses will see me out there, more of gathering those, great examples of what's going well, but I also want to be out there to understand also when things don't go so well. And like I said, exploring what that pattern of systemic change is that's needed to, so I can go to those proponents and those people who make those contracts and say to them, are you aware of this? Are you aware of those sort of things?
Yeah, no, that sounds really deadly. Now, if you could tell us a little bit about, and our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses and building and construction, the opportunities that are in far North Queensland and North Queensland that are obviously current, but also future for planning as well.
Yeah. Look, as I said earlier, consulting engineer for about 25 years, right? So I saw the pre-GFC peak that we had, 2005, 6, 7, that tight labour markets, increasing in costs of operations, and then those losses that those businesses took when the bubble burst, But at that time, I felt in the work that I was doing, we were on a wave. We were on a wave of construction and building, and there wasn't a real clarity of what that would enable at the end of the day. I think this time around, we've really done some the businesses have done it hard for the last couple of years, the last few years, right? And even since the recovery from those pre-GFC days. But the government's invested really strongly, you'll see, in enabling infrastructure. And that pipeline of infrastructure, both from the federal and the Commonwealth level, is laid out in front of us over the next 7 to 8 years. It provides a little bit more, or certainly more certainty than they ever have done in the past, which I think is quite different to that situation that we had about 15 years ago. So, and it's important to me that this infrastructure is of an enabling type, and we haven't yet seen, and CSQ data and analysis also backs up that we haven't yet seen what the private sector is looking at in their investments to come off the back of this type of investment. So, if we look to the southern corridor of Cairns, and we've got the Gordon Vale to Edmonton upgrades with main roads and the Foster Road intersections, $700 million worth of work there. That's still going to be built out in 22 and into 23. But importantly, within that, in that realignment, is the southern development area for that commercial area. And so there's still private infrastructure yet to go into there, because we know that Cairns is a very linear location. The expansion is to the south. And so as we enable the connectivity to improve, and that industrial estate to be developed south of Edmonton, really exciting as to what the opportunities are for private investment in that particular space.
Yes.
Furthermore, with a bit more of that road infrastructure, you've got the Cairns Ring Road, more than $350 million there. That area around North Cairns there that gets quite constrained and limits, the people's desire to come into the city in the morning. So it'll fix up those sort of components, as well as the recent announcements in that Cairns West Arterial Road. So, $350 million bridges and duplication of that road coming in from Smithfield and connecting in there. So quite a bit of main roads type infrastructure going ahead.
Yes.
HMAS Cairns at the federal level, the stage 1 investments there, $140 odd million there. And then what the opportunities are for fleet sustainment, the marine development, not only the marine for defence and its repositioning into the future, but also the tourism boats, the white boats, and those other sectors that can come into Cairns with some certainty of supply in service, and then what that may sprout at the end of that piece of work as well. And then, yeah, sorry.
Now, can I just ask you? I mean, Cairns is really developing at the moment. There are opportunities coming up in maybe the remote areas, the Cape that you may know of, or the Torres, or even North Queensland? Yes. Yeah.
Well, I guess off the top of my head, the other defence project is that Greenvale project, right? And that'll extend from Mount Cloncurry sort of distance, Cooktown to Mackay. They'll take supply from that area, and there's another, $800 million worth of investment over a number of years. And again, a project that not only has a capital component that'll start kicking off in the next few months with some early work stuff after that design gets approved, but ongoing sustainment, because it's used for only a period of time, and there's a bit of a turnover and churn in that infrastructure and rebuild. And I've got some links to some other publications that the Queensland Government has put out, and I'll try and share those on the screen for everybody a little bit later on. That shows the number of projects around the place as well. So I might just try and do that quickly, Julianne, while we're talking about that. And
we can also share them when we send out the information as well. So thank you for providing that. Yes, that's excellent.
So the document itself was one that was reviewed and issued back in October last year. So it's reasonably recent, in partnership with CSQ. And there are a number of projects that are in there that identify both the location, the type of infrastructure it is, the commitment to date, so the businesses can see, whether it's already underway, and more importantly, the out years, the 22, 23 years and beyond, of where the amount of investment might be. So that is a good reference tool that members can use to go through and make themselves aware of the different variety of projects that are going on. And when they're looking for opportunities to tender coming up, and I'll go through some of these opportunities, but the Queensland Government's also reviewed their QTender website recently, and they've got on there future opportunities for supply as well. So you can click on a section of the map and get a breakdown of the tenders that may be coming up and the timing of those as well. So in the Cairns region, for example, we have a bunch of school, Edge Hill State School, Redlynch State School, Warrie State School, going through, contracts in that sort of low million, 1 to 2 million, 1 to 5 million sort of size, and then working up to the diversionary centre upgrades, Cairns mental health units that, turning sods recently in recent days as well. So all of those projects are in there and give you a little bit of detail as to when those tenders might come up.
Just a quick question, Stephen. I know you flicked past the front of that document, but what is this document called?
This one that we're looking at the moment?
Yes.
So this one's actually on the QTenders website, and it's an interactive map that we have on there. So I'll quite happily flick you through those links so that you can share with the guys as well. Yeah,
that'd be excellent. And the first document you looked at as well, that document is called?
That's the Far North Queensland Major Projects Pipeline. So that was put out in partnership with CSQ and the Queensland Government back in October 21. Yeah. And again, I've got the link for that one too.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. We certainly will send that out as well as part of this yarning circle. I have a question that if Far North Queensland and North Queensland Indigenous building and construction businesses in the industry have feedback, are you the conduit for that industry feedback?
Well, my role is statewide, right? So you might find that it might be a bit hard to get a hold of me sometimes. So the first area to go back and engage with is our regional officers. Okay. So Terry Page is regional director up here in Cairns and Far North Queensland. So anywhere from Torres Strait all the way down to Cardwell and across to our Etheridge and those sort of places. Then give the office a call, engage with our management team there, and I have constant conversations with those guys, and they can give me up to speed. Highlight if there's a particular business that would like some more one-on-one time to explain something through, and we'll make that connection through that way. It just might be a little bit more efficient than trying to hunt me down as I travel across the state. I'm dealing with anything from inland rail to copper string.
Right. Okay. No, that's great to know, and we'll certainly share the contact details of the regional offices as well.
Yeah.
So can I ask you another question? What advice would you give Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses within the building and construction industry about, whether they're interested in knowing more, how do they become more actively participatory in the industry? Like, what sort of advice would you give them?
Based on a lot of the conversations that I've had with businesses down the East Coast already, some of the patterns of advice I can give you are, challenge yourselves to make informed decisions. It's okay. It's really okay to ask questions rather than bury yourself or potentially your business in order to save pride or be proud of something. So nobody likes surprises. The contractors don't like surprises, and so the best thing you can do is ask questions and explore solutions with those that you work with. Through your supply chain network, keep an eye out for opportunities for others of our mob and make those referrals. We've got some businesses who engage and have really good relationships with some proponents. And when they're out on site and they're working on things, they say, oh, well, that electrical work, we can't do it, but we know a mob that can, and happy to connect you in with that. So, look out for your brothers and sisters out there as well and see where those opportunities are. Invest in yourself long term. You need to pursue growth emotionally, academically, physically. Those things help you operate with clarity and make the best decisions that you can in your business. Some businesses have gotten just used to the grind, and sometimes they're used to processes and doing things in ways that are they're stagnating and not moving with the time. They haven't had that chance to learn and understand where the digital platforms and technologies are taking them these days. And pursue registration of standing offer arrangements, right? I know that they can take quite a lot of effort. Margins may not be as high under those agreements for businesses, but others who are looking to provide tenders really recognise those as just like a license. They recognise those as an indication of your ability to respond to the systems and obligations that they may put on you through your tenders.
Now, that's fantastic advice as well. And considering we still are in a current COVID environment, do you have any tips or even 3 tips you could give to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander building and construction businesses? How do they strengthen their viability in this current COVID environment?
Yeah, look, really I think that first bit of advice about asking questions, right? Because you don't have to do it yourself. There are a lot of businesses and businesses outside of your sector even who have made adaptations and been flexible. And there are some learnings that we can take from some of those other sectors and apply them in building and construction, and then they'd be more innovative and new. And it might be about how you outreach to different clients, how you present yourself. Us mob, we're generally no good at espousing how good we are and promoting ourselves and those sort of things. But there are other sectors who are really good at doing that, right? So how do we take some of their approaches and utilize them themselves and get visibility for us so that we can people can see what we can do, and there might be something in what it is that we do, whether it's a new piece of machinery or operational approach or how we approach our supply chains that really will help that particular project.
That's fantastic. You've given us so many words and pearls of wisdom today, which has been very deadly, and we're very thankful for what you've given to us today, and all your knowledge and information has been great. So today we've been talking with Stephen Ung, Director of Major Economic Projects for Department of Seniors, Disability Services and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnerships. So thank you again, Stephen. I know you've given us so much already. Is there any lasting words you'd like to leave with our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses in building and construction?
Oh, look, just don't be anxious about having a deadly partner, right? Look, absolutely be selective, but recognise what you do well and where you might need assistance, whether it be accounting, contracts, marketing, safety, administration or risk, whether it's working through some of these guys that you'll engage with through the Keriba Building and Construction Facebook pages or LinkedIn pages. Reach out, every other business does it, and we should have confidence to be able to do it ourselves.
It's deadly. Thank you so much, Stephen Big SL, for your time today. So we're going to finish where we started today by acknowledging our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, families and communities, and we pay respects to all of you out there that are listening to us today. And we also pay respects to Stephen and his department for allowing him to come on today. So you'll find the interview on our Facebook page as well as our other social media pages. And just if you are interested in the Keriba Building and Construction Program, it is for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses that are in the building and construction industry in Far North Queensland and North Queensland. So don't feel that you can come to us, ask any questions, and also be a part of our program. At the end of the day, the program is for you. So thank you, and thank you again, Stephen.
Yes, sir, Julianne. Yo.